This book was just absolutely mind-blowing. Like, honestly, the book god right here, like, amazing. I am so excited for this video today, guys. I am going to be reading the books that I thrifted, and I cannot wait any longer. I'm gonna go ahead and start reading them, but I will get back to you guys soon. I just finished this last night, and let me tell you, this had me feeling some type of way. I have not read like such a young adult novel in forever, and this just really reminded me of stuff I used to read like in middle school. This book is about a young girl who unfortunately loses her sister, and her sister are best friends, and her sister dies super suddenly. She starts to have feelings for her sister's boyfriend, and that creates a huge conflict, but then she also starts to have feelings for this new kid who just moves into the area. They kind of hit it off, but she's kind of stuck between her sister's boyfriend, who reminds her constantly of her sister. Then she's also torn between this new kid that has a love for music and also makes her feel a bunch of stuff and kind of forgets her life with her sister. And it's just, this is overall very tragic but very funny. I think I would give it like a 3 out of 5 stars, though it wasn't my favorite. This isn't something that I would just gravitate towards, but it's something that I would recommend children. And I did dog ear a couple pages, and I never do that. I just didn't have any sticky notes with me. This book was also very interesting because it had some poetry written on actual pieces of like papers or wrappers that were copied into the book, so you kind of have like a mixed media effect, which I really appreciated. And I love the little poems throughout this book that were just kind of scattered, and like literally scattered on random everyday objects. I also really liked the little like back and forth that the narrator would say, and there's this one girl that she really does not like, and she kind of mimics her in like this little like voice, and it's just, I find it so funny. I definitely laughed a lot while reading this. And I also will say the high schooler was obsessed with Wuthering Heights, and I felt like that was something I could relate to, and there are a ton of literary references in here. There was one thing though I personally did not like at all in this book. It was kind of towards the beginning. She did use the R word, which I did not appreciate at all, and that really threw me off. And for a second I was just like, I don't even know if I can continue finishing this book because of that. Not okay, did not like that. So the second book that I read was The Book Thief, and I could not believe when I found this book on the shelves of my local thrift store. I was so excited because everyone always raves about their book, and I feel like a lot of people I talk to, this is their absolute favorite book, like favorite all-time book, like 5 stars immediately, no thought about it. And I cannot believe that I waited so long to read this. And this book, oh my goodness, it made me cry. It made me cry so much. Oh, this book was just absolutely mind-blowing. Like, honestly, the book god right here, like, amazing. I loved every single page, every line, every word, every sentence. Like, you could tell so much thought went into creating this book and this entire world and these characters, and this was just absolutely breathtaking. I love this. This was an easy 5 stars for me. And for those of you who do not know about The Book Thief, it basically follows the life of this young girl who is coming of age during Germany when Hitler begins to rise, and then the Nazi party forms, and it just follows her life and her growth. And it's also narrated by Death, and that's just absolutely genius in itself. And I love this book so much. This book made me cry so much, and I have not read a good book in a while that made me cry, but I became just so emotionally attached to these characters. And I also just, oh my goodness, I became like so close to these characters, and I just did not want to finish this book because of how good it was, and I knew that once I finished it, I wouldn't be able to ever read it for the first time again. Does anyone think like that? Because I had like 50 pages left, and I put it off for an entire day, you guys, because I didn't want to have to part ways with this book. I will say that this is not the original cover. This is like the movie cover. Definitely not my favorite. I wish that I had the original cover, but this was, you know, at the thrift store, so I couldn't really pick. And there was also like a piece of like jam or something stuck on the pages that I had to like kind of gently rub off with a paper towel, so that was really gross. But other than that, yeah, this book, amazing. So the third book that I read was Girl with the Pearl Earring by Tracy Chavalier, and I do not think I am pronouncing her last name correctly. But this book basically follows the fictional life of this girl right here. I'm sure a lot of you know or have seen of this painting at least. It basically follows the fictional life of this girl who inspired this painting. This painting is by Johannes Vermeer, who is a Dutch painter, and it kind of follows his artistic vision and kind of the way that he paints and the way that he lived, but it mainly focuses on the life of this girl right here. And honestly, I was so excited to read this because whenever I found this, I found the reviews on the back and they were all so promising. I don't know, guys, it fell so flat for me. I just did not really enjoy this. There were just so many things about this that I did not like. I thought that the writing was very beautiful, and again, I do think this is a good book. It's just I personally did not enjoy it. I felt the characters fell very flat. I didn't feel a connection to any of them. There was truly only one huge conflict in this entire story, and the build-up wasn't really that good. And then there were smaller conflicts throughout this book that I thought were going to be like the huge climax points, but those climax points, they weren't really brought about in the right way, if that makes sense. Like, there would be small little build-ups to these little conflict situations, and they would kind of reach a peak climax and then they would plateau. So I personally just didn't get much enjoyment. I thought that even like the small little like conflict scenarios definitely had just so much potential. So every time I would read something that had a little bit of conflict or like suspense moment, I thought it was going to go so far, but again, they just plateaued, and I felt like the author had like so much room to kind of really draw those out more and kind of make this more interesting. But for me, like, everything really fell flat. I wasn't really fond of the dialogue. I felt like the dialogue was really drawing me out of the book. It didn't really seem authentic at points. There's something about the dialogue that I just really was not fond of, and even the ending was just so nonchalant. I don't want to say any spoilers, so I think I'm just gonna say that, yeah, the ending was just very nonchalant, if that even makes sense. But overall, it was kind of hard to get through at times, but it is only like 230 pages, so it didn't take me that long to read this entire thing. But I personally was not really a fan of this, and I was really disappointed. Also, the cover reminds me of a DVD. Like, can anyone else see that? Like, the reflective things up here, they just remind me of like a Blu-ray DVD. Does anyone else get that vibe, or is that just me? Will say I absolutely love how there's artwork throughout this book. Like, the opening page is even one of Vermeer's paintings, and they're very high quality photos. And there's a point in the book here where the photos are also present, and there's like a few of them. But the photo placement was very, very strange. So the photo placements, like, the photos would just appear randomly throughout the book. Like, you have this big chunk in the middle, and I felt like the photos could have been introduced more appropriately. But every time the photo would appear in the book, it would have a quote underneath the photo about like the people in it, or that the person in the painting said. But those quotes would be like 30 pages back, so it's like you kind of forgot where these quotes even came from or the context behind them, because they were so randomly placed like in the middle of the book. I felt like if the paintings and the quotes were brought up like when the quote was directly said, then that would have made more sense to me. I don't know, that was also just something that I noticed and I wasn't really a big fan of. But since this is a movie, I am gonna watch it because I read the book. It's my toxic trait. Honestly, I give this like a 3 out of 5 stars. I wanted to love this. I wanted to like this because I've never read anything like this before, and I didn't like it. That concludes my video. I didn't really find too many books when I went thrifting, so I'm very sorry. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you would like, please like it and subscribe to my channel. That would mean so much to me. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!